Guruji, this is about understanding desire and the user. I'm just going to read out some part of what is there in the course, and then I would request you to give us some inputs on that. Krishnaji says, like steam, desire is energy, is it not? And as steam can be directed to run every kind of machinery, either beneficial or destructive, so desire can be dissipated or it can be used for understanding without there being any user of that astonishing energy. If there is a user of it, whether it be the one or the many, the individual or the collective, which is tradition, then the trouble begins. Then there is the closed circle of pain and pleasure.
Profound, immensely profound. So we have got to go to a broader canvas to fathom Krishnaji's words. So I like to place beside what you read out just now, another sutra of Krishnamurti which seems to be relevant here, because your whole emphasis is on the user.
Yes.
So we've got to understand the inappropriateness or the appropriateness of being the user. One sutra of Krishnaji says, ambition is poison.
Ambition is poison.
Ambition is poison. So let us underline that sutra. And let's think of a very big canvas. And I like to place on the canvas Rabindranath Tagore and Sri Aurobindo and Ramana Maharshi and Shirdi Sai Baba and Ramakrishna Vivekananda, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa Vivekananda, and also Krishnamurti. Now you can see that all of these people, they are Mahapurushas. So Sri Aurobindo's lifetime work was, because India was enslaved to the British, and before that it was enslaved to the Mughal emperors. So Indians lost identity and even forgot the very important fact that we are fundamentally a spiritual civilization with a very, very long tradition. And so we were suffering from amnesia about the essential nature of our civilization and our identity as individuals. Civilization also has an identity and a proclivity, as a tendency, as an orientation. And an individual also has a temperamental orientation, and so on. So Aurobindo's contribution was to make India not look towards the West for inspiration after independence, and then that is one thing, and to give inner meaning to the Vedas. Now the whole of the Vedas were the Vedic Sanskrit is different from normal cultured Sanskrit. So Vedic Sanskrit is more recondite, more ancient, and has to be studied separately, I'm told. And so it's cryptic. So the Vedic Sanskrit and the Vedic mantra, they're all very cryptic, and they use a whole lot of metaphors. And unless you do research on the Vedas and you read the antarartha, or the inner meaning of all the Vedic metaphors, you won't be able to understand the real meaning of the Vedas and the hymns which are there in the Vedas, the suktas. You can't understand that fully. Now, it's Aurobindo's lifetime work to do the decipherment of the Vedas. That's his lifetime work. A monumental work it is, because he knew that that's the soul of India, spiritual soul of India. And then if you take Gurudev, Rabindranath Tagore, poet laureate, exceptionally gifted as a poet and as an artist par excellence. And similarly, Ramakrishna Vivekananda did not strive to be anybody other than what he is. He was illiterate, Ramakrishna. And Kali, as the face of transcendental reality, was his truth. As we were talking about, many people can approach that reality in any way they like. So in his approach, he found the face of the transcendental reality to be Kali. And all those Mahatma Gandhi, for example, the freedom struggle spearheaded by him. Now, all these Mahapurushas, so place Krishnamurti in that pantheon. All these Mahapurushas, they had an unceasing infinite calling, very strong. The calling was perpetual and infinitely strong. And all these Mahapurushas, they never made use of that calling to become personally great. You got to pick that up. So there was no taint of egoism, no taint of selfishness, no taint of claiming something which they are unique, as though they exist as individuals separate from the rest of humanity. Nothing like that. So that's common to all these Mahapurushas, Siddha Purushas, and all these great people whose work will last 1,000 years. I'm very sure of that. But on the other hand, you can look at the people who become rich and famous. You can look at them in the spiritual world. You can look at them in the business world. You can look at them in the political world. And you can look at them even in the world of music and in the world of art. Now, by contrast, among all these so-called great personages who made a mark, you can even include Hitler in the whole thing in politics. So there was a great deal of tyranny and great deal of egoism, great deal of ambition, because the user was stealing the wealth which belongs to the divine. The divine, for some reason, which human beings can never fathom, has come into your house. And it is refusing to go till you die. It is giving you inspiration. It is giving you elan vital. It is giving you infinite creativity. You're a poet laureate. And perpetually, perennially, poems are just pouring out of you. And in one way or the other, take Dhoni, take Sachin Tendulkar. That creativity is continuous flurry. It's just beating out. So the divine is doing all that. Now, you can take even these two people, Sachin Tendulkar and Dhoni. Was there an evidence in Sachin Tendulkar and Dhoni of a user creeping in and the public getting a feeling of the taint of egoism?
I do not know much about their lives, but from what we know, I would say no.
Yeah, exactly. No. Yeah, that's my point. So that user did not come into existence, maybe because their entire perception was more humble and they could see it as the result of the divine handiwork, and they could not probably crack that mystery, why it came to their house and not to somebody else's house. But if you look at the people who go up and come down and who made it an egoistic affair, like some tycoons in the business world and share market scams and business people, I don't want to name them, but there are any number of people, like a meteoric rise and a meteoric fall. You see that. Now that's because the self enters into the whole thing. The user is trying to capitalize something which does not belong to him and has misappropriated and stolen the wealth of the divine. So it won't go well. After the podcast is over, I'll tell you who those people are. So I've seen them in politics, seen them even in the spiritual field, seen them in the business field, seen them even in Bollywood, Hollywood, everywhere. So the user makes use of that. Now, if the user makes use of it, then it's unfortunate, it's a tragedy. So the user, as I said, think of a Maharaja with his entourage, okay? And that's the calling. The calling is coming. And then there is one fellow, a very stealthy fellow, who wants to capitalize on that calling for his personal advantage. He's the self. Either he can be on low profile, or he will, through self-deception and through misguided understanding, he may think that it is all his greatness. Is my greatness. So one very renowned musician of India, in his last agonies, he made a confession, and he said that all through my life, I was extremely egoistic. The confessional statement. But he is hugely talented, infinitely talented. Now, when you're hugely talented and you're a freak, your talent is so much, Himalayan amount of talent, then you can think, I'm special. You can think like that. Or you can be mystified by the perpetual presence of the talent in your life. Two possibilities are there. So Krishnamurti is asking you not to steal that wealth. That is a very mysterious thing. Somehow, willy-nilly, it's come into your house. Don't claim that as yours. No. So the user is claiming that. Now, it is wisdom to perceive that the user can steal all of this and do self-appropriation. To perceive that the possibility is there. And it's also wisdom that because of that wisdom, the self ceases to be a thief of that wealth. Then will the person be honorable and adorable? He'll be honorable and adorable, right? That's what all these people are. Mahatma Gandhi, Sri Aurobindo, Krishnamurti, Grandmasters, Jagadgurus, all of them. So in lesser mortals, you see that the ego is cashing in on that. The self uses that. Uses that and then does what with it? That's the important thing. Now, the self capitalizes on it, uses it, and looks to the right, looks to the left, and sees that nobody has this Himalayan magnitude of talent pouring in like waterfalls, like the Niagara waterfalls. So I get the idea that I'm unique. And I become arrogant. And I claim uniqueness. And I set up shop. Haven't you observed this phenomena in life?
Yes.
And also see what happens to these kind of people. Just watch around. Watch what happened to these kind of people. They invariably, as Mahatma Gandhi says, in my story of my experiments with truth, he said, the tyrants, but invariably they fall, he says. They'll fall, the big tyrants of history. And so this is a completely new thing which Krishnaji is saying, which I'm illustrating with historical data, so that the digestion becomes very easy. That entourage, that gift is like a Maharaja coming with his entourage. So there are 2 cabinet ministers, there are 3 bodyguards, then there is a secretary, then one scoundrel is there in that entourage. Who's the scoundrel? The self. And that self belongs to the body, belongs to a particular body, Maharaja's body. And the self wants to claim that the whole thing is because he's so special, you see. He's different from others. Oh my God.
So related to that question, and this is the same thing that the people are also asking, because Krishnaji says, is it possible for this energy to be not used by the user?
Exactly.
So they're asking how, and
yeah. The how is you've got to see. As I said, listen to this. See. Somebody wants to go deeply into Krishnamurti, How could I go very deeply into Krishnaji? Because I put my material life on the back burner. I gave this priority. So anybody who wants to go deeply into this, okay, and get the whole of Krishnamurti, or to get the whole of the thing, you've got to prioritize it in your life. And there may be a time and a season when that prioritizing may happen very naturally, or you very consciously prioritize. Either it happens by itself, very spontaneously, very naturally, or very, very consciously you do it. Now, there is no how, because let's say that there is a formula, a recipe, a how. Let's say somebody is giving you a formula, recipe. Now, then the self now becomes the practitioner of that sadhana, and therefore he comes freshly to new life. Very dangerous. He comes freshly to new life because now he's on a new, he's on a completely new adventure, and he's still now going to tell the world that he conquered the whole thing. He's a Siddha Purusha. He conquered the whole thing. He conquered evil. So there is no question of how at all. You just have to bask there and get that understanding. Slow down there, sit there, get that meditative understanding. And all of these Siddha Purushas of modern India that I listed, Mahatma Gandhi, Sri Aurobindo, Ramakrishna Vivekananda, then Shirdi Baba, then Krishnamurti, did any one of them, the self, did it use that thing?
No.
No. That's the great thing. Did Hitler use it?
Yes.
Yes. That's it. And I can cite so many other people on the Indian sky. Like there have been so many scams in India. Scams are very common. Political scams, business scams. And then you can see that those are all, the self got the better of them. The user got the better of them.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you.